All right, what is up, traders? Whether you are new or returning, welcome to the channel where we take a no BS, price is king approach. Bitcoin is a very sideways, slow trading asset this week. Haven't really done a whole lot. We do got some things to talk about. There are some nice things happening in, the macro here and with order flow, but we're just not seeing very good results. Obviously, last week we rejected at the weekly high range, and it looked like Bitcoin was going to put in a similar pattern to what we saw back in January. That did not happen as Bitcoin found support. We have closed 2 days back above the 21 exponential moving average, and we are currently trying to put in a higher high on the daily range. So far, the last 3 days have been higher lows, so that is good. It just, for whatever reason, cannot break out. So we're going to keep an eye on it today. We're going to see what it wants to do here. We do have the DXY gapping up today. Could potentially be looking for that breakout. We shall see. If it does break out, I think maybe Bitcoin doesn't potentially break to the upside, but we'll see. They are not correlated right now. They have not been correlated for a while. And when I say they're not correlated, I mean neither inversely or correlated, right? There's no correlation. So maybe dollar strength would not affect it, but only time will tell. So as far as like the structure and everything goes today, I would be more prone to being a buyer. But there are a couple levels here that I'm interested in buying. Obviously, I did take a long on Tuesday when we had the public live stream. We bought this wick low down here. As you can see, Wednesday morning, that trade got stopped out. So that is why I am a super strong proponent of, if you get the market to move in your direction, you definitely want to take profits, because in just a day or so, price can come back right down to your entry and stop you out. This way your trade was successful and all's good, right? So that's what I'm a strong proponent of. I think everybody should do that if you are going to try to be a day trader. The very first level that I'm interested in obviously is going to be $69,800. It's going to be the prior 4 hours open. I think if we got down there, we would probably tag that low as well. So these are the very first two levels that I want to pay attention to what price does if it gets down here on the bell, or at the New York bell, 9:30. It's currently 9:04, so we got about 25 minutes until that happens. Would love to see a sell-off at the bell, similarly to what we saw on Thursday, and then that would give us a potential opportunity to get long. Now, the low, or yesterday's low, I should say, is right here. That is this level here. So if it does break below this and gives us a pretty much downtrending day, then I would not want to be a buyer. Not until price gets down here, tags yesterday's low, and then I'll see what it does in this area. The short, if you are a bear, and you could be bared up here. I mean, obviously, structure is bearish on the daily, on the weekly. It's even bearish on the 4 hour. As you can see, your 200 exponential, the purple line, is above the date, or the 4 hour 21 exponential, which is the yellow line. So that is bearish structure. 4 hour res is sitting right here at the close of that candle, $70,600. And then you have this higher resistance level up there. This will be Wednesday's high right here. And your current day high is here. Yes, your current daily high is right here. So you could wick above that, reject, or if you get a strong move, wick above this and reject. Yesterday we did have some news. Excuse me 1 second here. I do not believe we have much news today. We have building permits. That's already happening in housing starts. Yeah, tomorrow is when you're going to get core PCE. You're going to get durable goods, GDP, personal income, and JOLTS all in one day. So massive data dump tomorrow. Today's range could be very slow. All right. Second, we need to discuss the VIX. as the VIX is currently up this morning. And anytime you have an elevated VIX, got to be cautious. The VIX has been elevated for some time now. We go out to the weekly time frame, you can see what we currently have as a weekly structure for this week, which is a nasty, huge range. But if we look at the S&P 500, we do not have a nasty, huge range, as this little blue line is where we closed Friday. And today you're going to be gapping down to about roughly that area. So you're actually unchanged on the week. On the S&P, you did have a nasty gap down. You did have a deep push on Monday, but that was all retraced with a gigantic bullish engulfing candle at support. So some people are looking at that as a bullish signal. I am not. I think that's in a downtrending market, which we're not quite downtrending yet. You will have gigantic bullish moves. But generally speaking, we anticipate those to be sold off. Now, if you do break out today on the S&P 500, I would anticipate a fresh year open retest. So back up to 68.83. Very much range bound here. You've been range bound on the S&P 500, on the NASDAQ since October of last year. So it has not been able to do anything because of the massive rotation out of growth into value. And then back over to the VIX, you are still up today. So anything above 15 for me is elevated. 25 is massively elevated. So we could see a big range. And then the other thing that I'm looking at is silver. I am anticipating silver to reject here. Obviously, today's price action on silver looks exceedingly bullish. It is very bullish. I get it. Yeah, so the only way I want to be shorting silver today is if it rejects this price. This is a daily supply zone. It is a good supply candle, as you know, you had a nice bullish move and then upside continuation above resistance. And then the very next day you sold off. That doesn't always mean that we had more sell pressure in this day. It could mean that just more sellers showed up at the end of the session. Downside continuation yesterday, breaking below that. But you've got a demand zone down here. Your daily 21 is roughly in this area. You closed below it yesterday, but you're trading well above it today. So a whole lot of choppiness here. Moving averages not going to be very helpful. You can see today, depending on how you close, will dictate whether or not you're back above the 50 here. So yesterday did a lot of work for the bearish trade. But if we're going to see that continue, then we definitely do not want to see prices trending above this level. So that's your entry. Unfortunately, it's that. That's where you'd be looking to take the short. Put your stop somewhere up above your entry and see what happens. That's all we can do as traders. Manage your risk. Make sure the trade isn't going to cost you more than you want to lose if we're wrong. Because let me explain something to you. This is a lot of bullish momentum. And taking a short when you have a lot of bullish momentum is usually not advised, because the bullish momentum can carry the day through. Just meaning if you have a lot of momentum in one way or the other, prices can generally drift in that direction for the majority of the day. So we'll know real quick on silver today if we're wrong or not. Which is what technical analysis is even for. It's simply just to give us places to look to put risk on in the market. That is all. It does nothing for directional prediction, right? So we'll see what it does, but I'm already in the short, of course. Going to take it whenever a level gets tagged, and if you get any kind of rejection there, that's generally when I'm going to be looking to put on entries. My entry is not here. My entry I took not yesterday, but the day before, up at the range highs. And I didn't call it out or anything because I honestly felt like I was going to be stopped out very quickly. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. So I'm calling it today. If you want to look for shorts, it's not the best setup, but that's what we have. And right here is where I'm looking for that short to happen. Now, it's only 9:11, right? It's 20 minutes before you get to bell. You do not have to chase this down here. You could wait. Obviously, if it continues to go lower, you will miss it. But it seems like a lot of times we get this scenario where an objective level is being rejected by price, and it's an obvious level where a lot of technical shorts are going to be. Price will kind of dilly-dally around until you get the bell. Once you get the bell, you get a stop run, and then price will trade above the level for like 15 or 20 minutes, like up in here somewhere, and then roll over. So you could wait for that, but obviously I don't know that it's going to roll over. If the dollar fails to break out today, I would anticipate silver and gold both trending higher. So let's go take a look at gold. Gold actually looks a lot more bullish than silver. Your 4-hour moving average structure on gold, absolutely bullish. There's no other way to look at this. It's been trending higher since the blow off top. It has been putting in higher lows and higher highs. Now, for the last several days, it's literally been sideways AF, but that is more constructive, I would argue. I would argue that is absolutely more constructive than it is destructive, or like it doesn't feel as if though there's a lot of sell side pressure in this asset. As if there was, I think we would have already put in some lower lows. And also last week was a bearish engulfing, just like silver put in last week. So this week we kind of anticipate it to be a very small range candle. So most of the week being choppy, and then next week would be the better setup. If this ends up being gold's high or the weekly high, wherever that ends up being, then Sunday, Monday of next week, you would simply just be watching that high, and then that's where you would be anticipating price to reject if it is going to get downside continuation. The problem with this bearish engulfing is two things. One, it didn't really happen at any resistance, and two, you did not close under the prior week's low. So in terms of a bearish engulfing, it is an engulfing. It is because it's a bearish candle, one, and two, because you took out both the high and low. I think the signals are better when you take out the low and close below the low, preferably far below the low, as it shows there was a lot of, confusion or at a very bare minimum, there was a lot of fear in that weekly range. Not so much when the buyers are able to push it right back up into the prior range. So you're just range bound. 3 weeks here, you're trading inside this candle's range. So this candle is the dominating force. That's why it's acting as support. Probably why it acted like resistance last week. Though the signal just ain't great. And then if we go down to the daily time frame, it's obviously holding support. That is what support is. When prices refuse to close lower, you have a test and hold of support. And generally, whenever support is holding, that's where you want to be looking to be a buyer, especially if you have a bullish structure, which we do here on gold. I haven't been able to look at the data to see if central banks are still accumulating large portions of gold or not. Because gold is not selling off hard, I would assume the answer to that is, yeah, they probably are. They probably are. If you look at gold, every time it pulled back and consolidated, which is what it did here, it pulled back. It was a gigantic volatility pullback, no doubt. It was the biggest one we've seen in several years. So, but it's still doing the same thing. So even if you look at this volatility, it was a nice pullback, but then it started building in higher lows, higher lows, higher lows, higher lows, till it broke out, and then it went on a run. So if it's going to continue to do that, then you do not want to be shorting gold. This structure is not bearish, it's bullish. So I typically don't want to be shorting things that have bullish structure and things that are building in higher lows. The better trade is to look to be a buyer. My problem with buying silver, I just don't like the price. That's it. And that is purely subjective. 100% subjectivity going on there. One thing I do like about silver for this week is lower daily high. As of right now, you currently have a lower daily high. So it's impossible to predict where the daily high will be. However, if the short trade is right, and it is from here, then This should be the daily high today. Got a nice point of control up here that does suggest that obviously retail is trying to short it. I usually don't love being on the same side as retail, but it doesn't, we don't know. I haven't looked at COT data or on silver to even tell you if it's retail or not. I know retail is definitely short DXY. I know that for a fact. I have looked at COT data, which is just the Commitment of Traders report from the CFTC. They track futures flow, and futures order flow right now says retail thinks the dollar's going lower, and that's how they are positioned, which is why I think you're going to see a breakout. Another reason why I think you're going to see a breakout is because even though the 200-day EMA has been acting as resistance as well as this descending channel, so you even have slope heading lower, the moving average structure looks lower, and the moving average structure looks lower even on the weekly time frame. So every time frame you have here looks like the dollar should be going lower. The macro supports lower dollar. We have been very slow to cut interest rates, but we are in an interest rate cutting environment. Typically that would be more bearish, but like I said, I think the trade is extremely crowded to the downside. So price obviously wants to head higher. It's what it looks like to me. I think it's going to break out. That's another reason why I'm positioning for silver shorts. All right, so, but the silver short trade, let's be clear, has not been a very productive trade. I haven't made money on it. Last week I made money on it, and not the week before that, but the week prior I made money on it. So out of the last 4 weeks, only 2 of them have been successful short weeks. We'll see if it can be a successful short week again this week, but only time will tell. All right, so that's that. Looking for longs on Bitcoin. I don't love the long if dollar breaks out, but if Bitcoin can hold support, I want to be long. The reason I want to be long is because similar to the dollar, I believe the short trade is very crowded here. Everybody and their brother sentiment has been massively bearish for a very long time on Bitcoin. Retail, everywhere you look, all over social media, you have big account followings looking for much lower prices. I think there are a lot more bears out there on social media right now than there are bulls. But if we just look at, data, we can see that people have been accumulating. So that's what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to show you the March open, which is right here. We're going to pull this in a little bit. We're only looking at March's data here. We're going to put on a volume profile just for March's data. We don't want it to be subjective. And as you can see, for March alone, the majority of the volume has traded down here around March's open. Since price is away from March's open to the upside, we can say that, probably a lot more buying, or prices want to go look for more demand to the upside. Either way, price is hanging out above the open. So it feels like order flow looks higher. Now, with that being said, there's just as much here where we currently are too. It's not like you have a huge volume spike down here, right? It's pretty even. The whole zone, the shaded areas is going to be considered a value area high and above, and then shaded down here, this would be your value area low and below. So not a whole lot of volume up in there, but I think if we break out, obviously we could fill all that in. And then secondly, if we pull up all of February's data as well, not just March, but look at February's data as well, we'll get a very similar look, but much better. There, boom. Lots of volume down here in this range. Very, very thick. So if you're trading under March's open on Bitcoin, you have to be positioned, or at least considering lower prices. As long as Bitcoin is trading above March's open, you could hypothetically hold longs. You can't get any simpler than that. Analysis says you should be long as long as you're trading up and away from March's open. If you're not, you could be headed lower. All right, so with that being said, oh yeah, and NVIDIA. But yesterday, NVIDIA, the trade was yesterday on NVIDIA. And I did post it days ago. So before the trade happened, way before it happened, I did post it over here on social. Let's get rid of this. Wait. Okay, never mind. Let's get rid of that. Go look for the NVIDIA call out. Yeah, whatever. That was just a little bit ago, but we had one over here. Where is it? Right here. Right here. In a perfect world, potential near-term resistance would be here. February's open. But basically, that's what we were looking for back here. We wanted prices to trade up, trade up, trade up. Tag February's open and reject. Now, with that being said, that happened yesterday. So let's go back to the charts. That happened yesterday. As you can see, we traded up and up and up. Tagged February's open. That's where we put on the short trade right here. Now, I did not get what I generally would like to see happen after that, which is heavy bearish pressure. We just didn't see that yesterday. Yesterday was a very tight inside kind of day. It wasn't an inside day because you had this expansionary candle right here taking you up and away from this range. So it was a trending day yesterday. It wasn't a bearish day at all. You opened higher, you filled the gap, moved up, all that, right? Like just a very, very uptrending day. So I definitely want us to stay under yesterday's low today. Hence the arrow. So closed one day above the 21, got an upside continuation day the next day. That's where we put on the risk for the sell side trade. We'll see today whether or not others did the same. If others did the same, I would anticipate NVIDIA's prices trading lower today. But you can simply make it very easy on yourself and say, well, if it's trading above, then obviously the threat is still to the upside. So be careful out there if you are looking for shorts. I think risk markets are crowded with the downside trades. These charts are very, very easy to look at and see bearishness. But a lot of people have been getting chopped up. So we'll see, right? We'll see. We'll see what happens. Only time will tell. But that's what I'm looking at. So quite a bit of stuff happening today. We just need to see if we're going to get the moves that we're anticipating or not. Yeah. And then I'm not doing anything on Tesla. There was a rumor that, I heard a rumor that Elon Musk was going to be dropping some very important, very bullish news. It's just a rumor. Obviously, I don't have any facts to support that or anything like that. So it's just a rumor. But anytime there's a rumor like that, I usually don't want to be short. I just don't. You know what I mean? Even if it's bullshit. And the reason is because here, let me just make it simple. You're at the bottom of the range. You're at support down here. So even if I was looking for a short on Tesla where it's trading right now, my max downside target would be in this area here. The only way shorting here makes sense is if you get a massive breakdown. So I would rather short at the top of the range and anticipate a low edge range retest instead of looking for shorts at the bottom of the range, hoping to get a breakdown. Yeah, so we'll see what happens. Each bounce from support has been sold into, and those highs have been getting lower and lower. But we did close above resistance yesterday. It wasn't a great close. I would have liked to have seen it closed like higher on the daily candle to suggest that not only was it strong yesterday, but it was strong going into the bell, which is what we didn't really get. So yeah, I mean, Tesla's opening here in the middle of the range. There's no trade on it. If you are looking for trades on it, a simple, very simple day trading strategy, use your 21 and your 200 EMAs. You can see that they are close together. The 200 is below price. So if Tesla could take out pre-market lows and then bounce, that's where I'd be looking for longs. If Tesla breaks below this and starts trending under it, it's not a long. And that's it. Like, that's it. Not really a short trade to take. I mean, unless you're just looking to take a trade off of the moving average. There's a couple daily resistance levels over here, but you're currently trading above that. And yesterday you closed above that. So I wouldn't be using those levels to mitigate risk. Last week's high is there. So, I mean, I'm not shorting Tesla. I don't like the trade. And I don't think that I could buy it either. Just like I don't want to short into support. I don't want to buy into resistance either. But if I was looking for a day trade and resistance wasn't right here, I would be looking for the long based on just the 21-200 structure. Now, obviously, that doesn't mean it will hold, but it does hold often. It holds often enough for retail to build scalping strategies around it. You can backtest it yourself. You don't have to take my word for it. You can backtest it. If you can coax out even close to a 50% hit rate out of it, that's a profitable strategy if you have very good risk management skills. All right, that's it. That's what we're looking at. A lot of stuff here today. Let's see what happens when we get to bell. Bitcoin pulling back slowly, that's fine. If it can't, like, when we get to bell, if it can't push under the open, I would be willing to put a little bit of risk on there. Not a lot of risk. Obviously, I'm trying to get positioned for a much larger breakout. So, yeah, I potentially want to hold it for some time, not just a day. So today it's Thursday. I'm not looking for a weekly range expansion to occur on Thursday. So it's not really a great day to be looking for swing trades, but I haven't been able to keep a position. Yesterday or Tuesday was the third time that I tried to get long in Bitcoin since we put in this low. I waited a few days, let some support build in. I got long here, that trade got stopped out. Then I got long over in here, and that trade got stopped out. So it has not been easy to get positioned. Now, obviously, there were a lot of trades that I could have taken in here that I missed, right? I'm not looking to chase every single candle on Bitcoin. I look for where I think the best opportunities are, and then I try to deploy risk. Now, I've been doing it for years. That's how I continue to do it for the years to come. But every day that I go live, I do try to find some kind of a trade to put on for you guys. So we'll see what happens here. This looks like a standard, very, very shallow, okay pullback. It doesn't look like anything massive. I'd say if you're looking at like the 1 minute charts, that probably does look like Bitcoin is collapsing. You know what I mean? But it really isn't. Not if you're looking at the higher time frame charts. This is nothing more than a slow, small pullback. Yeah, very slow, very small pullback here. Monthly VWAP, March's VWAP has been holding support, so we would love to see that continue to be the trend moving forward in the month of March. And there was the bell. The XY still piddling around with resistance up there. January's high is what is acting as resistance on the dollar. Well, that was great. I thought I had more than that. All right. Oh, here we go. We got the bell. S&P looking like it's trying to put in a near-term swing low here. You're right around the previous quarter mid on the S&P futures. You're right around the previous week low on the S&P futures and Monday's midpoint on the S&P futures. So basically all of this, or any of this, I should say, could act as support. I know it's a lot, but you got a lot here, right? Lots of confluence for support. It would be a pretty good move lower if you can break through all this stuff, because there isn't anything through here, nothing. So that's what we would kind of want to see happen here, because structure is bearish, or the near-term structure is a little bit more bearish than bullish. So if we're going to break out with a trend and a downtrend, then obviously you've got to break through this stuff. Here's Nvidia here putting in some volatility on the open. 30-minute candles. Bitcoin is also rolling a little bit here. These are the areas that we're looking for operation on Bitcoin, and then silver is moving away from daily supply in the right way, so that's a plus. And get the VIX back on daily ranges so I can see what's going on. We're just now liquidating yesterday's high, so the VIX could absolutely roll over from here, which means the S&P would bounce. So I mean, there is a long trade that could be taken here on the S&P. It'd be a risky one, but it's still there. It is there. And then oil is obviously still bananas. It's at $93 right now. So oil is absolutely bananas. I think retail is trying to short it very strongly, especially since it's been all the new oil contracts are on crypto exchanges now. That's literally what caused the massive spike over the weekend, was all those traders getting liquidated, and it's slowly heading back to the upside. I would say most retail is short, or the sentiment would be more short side biased than upside biased. Oh, Bitcoin not going to give us a test of that level. I can't get long unless it does do that. Dollar finding a bit of rejection. Oh, good morning, champ. What's up, LMG? Let's get that cheddar. Let's do it. Good morning, Janet. Good morning, Lunar. Good morning. Thoughts on 3-month for Ethereum? Thoughts on the quarterly chart on Ethereum? Looks rough. Looks absolutely rough. The fact that Vitalik started selling a lot of Ethereum isn't a good call. Yeah, I mean, what would make him go ahead and start selling unless he's seen something that's potentially bad, or was he just taking profits? I don't know. Obviously, I don't follow him, so maybe he's spoken out about it. I just don't know. It looks rough. It's into support. I mean, you've got 19 days left on this close. I would say if you can close above 1822, that'd be better than if you close under it. But I just don't know that I would call this a big bounce either. You know what I mean? It's like, it's the same thing that Bitcoin is doing. It's just trading in a massive range. It's been range bound since the capitulation wick, or since the capitulation style wick. You've been stuck in that candle's range. Haven't been able to go up, haven't been able to go down. It's in price discovery. But I like the price. If I wanted to be a longer term buyer, I could definitely buy that. I would not be happy with what price has been doing, at least for the last several weeks. But if the market gets bullish, it can get bullish really, really quickly. Like, it could happen in the span of 1 to 2 days, and then you've missed it. You know what I mean? So it's kind of at a place where you would think people would be accumulating. So, I mean, it looks exactly like Bitcoin to me. I have more of a near-term bullish bias on Bitcoin, simply because I feel like the sell side is just too crowded and overexposed, if you will. Like, there's just, it's still so far away from the 200 exponential. I would love I mean, I have no problems getting bearish on Bitcoin again. I just need to see some of those shorts get washed out. Then I can look for fresh shorts. But until that happens, I think the risk is to the upside on Bitcoin. But obviously, I could be very, very wrong. As long as you're trading under this, like, the risk is evenly to both the upside and the downside, I guess. But if you're trading above this, then you can say at least you do have a very near-term breakout on your hands. While you're trading under this, you are stuck in a range. That's the problem. That is the problem. So Nvidia, pretty volatile here on the bell. I didn't look at the 5-minute structure. Oh, the 5-minute structure looks good for shorts on Nvidia. Yeah, I would feel similarly to how I feel about Tesla, but obviously with the opposite bias. As long as you can stay under pre-market highs, which obviously this is post-market, Brown is pre-market, but I mean, it is what it is, right? That's the closing candle. So I consider every bit of this to be pre-market. If you could stay under pre-market highs, I think we could see it roll over. If you're above pre-market highs, it's going back here to stop out yesterday's shorts. But I don't look for the 5-minute moving averages to be resistance or support. Generally, I would anticipate price to get up well above the average and then put in a range like this. And then once that occurs, if it breaks back down, then I would feel good about potentially seeing this action. But if it breaks out this way, then I would say your trend is going to shift. This average will cross back above, and then price would look for the Feb open. The Feb open is a massive level. Very, very, very simple to get directional bias if you're watching, high time frame opens and closes. So clearly you can see how it just got up in here yesterday and then failed. So if the sellers are that strong, then maybe a liquidation up to here and then boom, back down. But I would have rather seen a heavier selling pressure day. Like, because the selling is always more brutal than the buying, generally, because it's fear, right? It's motivated by fear. People are emotionally exiting positions. So you get much larger, much faster, action. And that didn't happen. It was a very slow, very small range bound. It was a methodical pullback day, almost. Like, if I was looking for longs on Nvidia, this chart would not scare me at all. You know what I mean? Like, I would be more than okay with putting longs on at 183.35 if I had a bullish bias, right? And I can have a bullish bias here. I could, because we're above the weekly 21, we're above the monthly VWAP. As long as we're above those levels, I could have a bullish bias. I just had to take the short because that's what we were looking for already since last week. And we got that move. So yeah, I have to take the short. Okay, so what's happening? Did I get hit with another commercial? I did. I mean, I am not satisfied if you're going to keep giving me commercials. It's a premium service. I'm already giving you monthly money. And you're stopping the music to hit me with a commercial. Like, what is that? If you're listening, Epidemic, stop that. Alrighty then. Okay. Good morning. Oh, read that. Good morning, Nick. What's happening? All market all-time high. Could happen. It could happen. The short open interest is massive. And since the short open interest is massive, that could cause a massive short squeeze. Yes. Yep. And that would be the contrarian view, looking for higher markets. I kind of wish that I would have, or potentially would have put on some risk at support, because I am a little bit more short-sighted in positioning here, and I should probably switch that to at least, like, you know, have some risk for the upside play, have some risk for the downside play, hedge off this chop. Yeah, I mean, the people that have been selling puts and calls for the last 3 months, they've been absolutely killing it. Absolutely killing it. Because this market is doing the exact opposite of trending. All right, so between Aussie Yen and BTC USDT, when Aussie Yen is risk on, higher highs, higher lows above the 20 bar EMA, Bitcoin tends to grind higher or hold support. Yeah, I mean, that's the general take. Aussie Yen is a very much risk on, risk off indicator, or it used to be a lot more, I would say, in the past than it has been as of late. Back when gold was chopping, you know, back before it broke out 2023, when gold was still very much range bound for like 10 years, Aussie Yen was a phenomenal metric of risk on, risk off. But once gold broke out, because the Australian dollar currency moves a lot with gold, right? Like it's very highly correlated. Once that broke out, Aussie took off to the upside, and you couple that together with the massive carry trade on the yen. The Japanese yen was at zero interest rates policy for so long, it just quit being a really good risk on, risk off indicator. But right now, I mean, there ain't any other way to look at Aussie Yen than to say it is exceedingly bullish, even here, even now. Could you have looked for a short trade today for a downside scalp? Yeah. And it looks like you're getting your move here. However, this is just a pullback. This would be a buyable opportunity. This thing is ripping. This is your last week high. You are well above that. So not only are you ripping, you are still trending higher here. You have to get all the way down here before you can say, okay, maybe this was a rejection. Until that happens, this thing is moving up. And that means risk is on. So that means we could see Bitcoin rally. But if you compare them, right, you're going to get a much, much different, it's just going to be much different. As you have not been trending up on the risk markets at all this year. But I would argue that you haven't done anything since October highs. Right? You did break above the October highs, but you couldn't stay above the October highs, and you're well under the October highs here. Though my argument is since October, you've done nothing. But if you look at this, since October, it has been a one-sided, very easy long. Very simple. I mean, that is a beautiful trend. And then if you compare Bitcoin with that, you're going to see the exact same thing, only worse, right? Only worse, because it was when October is when Bitcoin started selling off. It is like an old wives' tale in the market that Aussie yen is a perfect risk on, risk off indicator. It just has not been as of late. That's basically all I'm trying to say. You know what I mean? But yeah, if you see a very strong surging yen and a weak Australian dollar and risk markets are also pulling back, then you could say maybe that correlation is back. But until then, it's kind of a hard sell. All right, Bitcoin is testing the 4-hour open here, so we got to keep an eye on this. Got to keep an eye on it. Let's drop down to the very small time frames here. 5 minutes. These are the two levels we're interested in buying if it can hold. Like I said, I think dollar is going to go pretty far and telling us what we should do. And right now the dollar's trying to break out again, so might not be along today. Also, risk is back down to Monday's midpoint. Monday's midpoint on SPX. Hopefully Fib Monday. This is it. This is the last level. If you lose this, we could see a deep drop on S&P. That's that last support zone. It's that line in the sand, if you will. We're starting to see some pullback here on this. I would love to see these deltas start confirming this move. Would love to see deltas drop below the zero line and continue to trend. So all of this stuff is making me a little bit less prone to put on that Bitcoin long. But like I said, right here is where the bears got to prove it. Wait, that's not yesterday's low, is it? No, it is not. We're well under yesterday's low. So that's good. Let's mark that YL for yesterday's low. And then this 4-hour swing right here, you've just liquidated that, so it could bounce from here. I'm not going to get long Nvidia here, but one could, right? One could. My bias is lower, so there's that. All right, so Bitcoin getting a strong bounce from this area. That I hate that. That's very annoying. Because I didn't put on the long just yet. That's a very aggressive bounce. But we're going to give it some time. The market's been open 20 minutes. We might have missed it. We'll see. We'll see. Yeah, I have a correlation coefficient as well. I've been keeping my eye on it. That's why I said the dollar is, right now, Bitcoin not really correlated to the dollar. Not a whole lot. It could get there, but it's been choppy. The correlation coefficient has been choppy, to say the least. Yeah, I love volatility too. Volatility can be good if you trade it the right way by using low risk and stuff like that. Volatility is what you want as a directionally biased trader. If you are you know, yeah, volatility is great. I love volatility. Absolutely. I love to get in and get right out. It's fantastic when it works out that way. So we're at support on everything, and the dollar's at resistance. So everything is kind of like lined up to where like there's, you could literally, if you had a short side bias on the dollar, you could take a short here. If you had a long side bias on risk, you could take a long here. It's like everything is like really in this like really good place to where if prices continue in the direction they are currently going, like on risk and the dollar, then we'll be pretty much positioned nicely, right? But they are all at areas of potential reversal too. Whereas it could shift and change the whole market dynamic. For instance, if the dollar rejects here and then breaks back to the downside, you could see risk markets do the opposite, hold support and break to the upside. Which I don't think anybody thinks is going to happen. Right? I haven't been keeping my eyes on the private credit markets. I have been keeping my eyes on the growth versus value sector. And though we are trending here, it could be just a dead cat bounce. Because those things got pretty overheated pretty quickly. So, yeah, if this starts to trend back up into this area up in here, I would assume the S&P is going to break out. This is why the S&P has not been able to break out. The flow shifted from growth to value. It's more of a defensively positioned portfolio. I was going to go look at something and it slipped my mind that quickly. Whatever. If I think about it, I'll go back and look. All right, so Bitcoin's coming back down. This is kind of what I figured would happen. Don't want to jump on a very fast-moving 1-minute candle. If it's going to hold support here, I'd like to see a couple candles grind this area out. Not just a wick into and then a see you later type of move, because when that happens, you just can't get in. Nvidia is making a fresh day low right now, so that's good. Fresh day lows. I would love to see a nasty pullback on Nvidia today. I would love it if we could take out this day's low. That would be so good. It'd be phenomenal. I would feel very well positioned if that takes place. Yeah. Oh. I was trying to look at Zcash. Oh, Farcoin actually looked like a decent short today. You've got deltas looking like they're looking for the downtrend. It just would have been a difficult trade because of the last session, the last 4-hour session. That's when you would have wanted to put the risk on. Of course, I was not awake when that happened. That happened right here at 5 o'clock in the morning. But yeah, that's where I would have wanted to take a short. Maybe if I had my eye on Farcoin or kept it on watch at the bell, maybe we could have taken a short there. It wouldn't have been like my favorite thing to do, but I could have. I did have more of a near-term sell-side bias today based on deltas. The POC, on the other hand, is a little bit higher than the day's midpoint, so that's always, a little bit iffy. But generally, if the POC is down here, it makes it a lot more difficult to be short. So I'm not in a Fartcoin short. I'm just saying, if I would have been paying attention to it here at 9:30, 9:35, we could have gotten short. Okay, so there's a fresh low on Bitcoin. So it'd be a very risky long here because of what Nvidia is doing. Also, the VIX is still trading above yesterday's high. It isn't rejecting, which means the S&P is trying to break down. But it ultimately could hold as support later on. I think it would be a very difficult scalp to take here. But if you're only looking for like 10 points on the S&P, that means you'd be looking for a 67.07, which is only right here. So you could get long and then take profits right here if you were scalping the S&P. Your stop would have to be low of day, obviously, if you're only looking for 10 points. The momentum is kind of heavy here, but we'll see. All right, so that's a secondary retest. It's a lower low. I think if you want to take Bitcoin longs, you're going to have to do it here. I don't know that I like the trade since VIX is, above the previous 2 days highs and everything is looking kind of weak this morning. But it's the pullback. So if you were looking to buy a pullback, this is it. Risk, stop. Very tight, very easy to mitigate risk here. If it's trading under this low, you're waiting for these lows. So very, very easy to mitigate risk. I wouldn't jump on with a 1 million X levered up long, but yeah, you could try it if you want. I think I'm going to leave it be for the near term. I already have the silver short on and the Nvidia short. So yeah, I don't know if I want to get in a... Well, I guess it would be an opposite position. I'll take it with a small piece. Very small entry on Bitcoin here. Just a lot of momentum here, but I do like that. It's the level that I was looking for longs. I would want to see that hold for sure. Weeks also added TQQ, by the way. I don't know anybody that likes to trade TQQ that often. I know there are some people that like to trade it more than just the QQQ because it's a levered. But yeah, now you can trade this on weeks. That's funny. With up to like 50x leverage. Lots of leverage. Earlier in the Discord, I told my community that if any of them had a short side bias, they could take or look for shorts on Bitcoin at 4-hour res and then target that prior 4-hour swing low, because it would have been a decent percentage move. But it turns out it didn't even get to where we were into. Oh, it was if you took out yesterday's low. That's what it was. Yeah, you would have to take out yesterday's low in order for it to be a decent little short. I only have an up bias here. That's a nice reaction twice. But it's probably going to build in a little bit of sideways price action here for a couple minutes. All right. Because it is a big level, and then we'll see what happens. It's not a huge level, but people will be getting positioned here. Tony the Fishing Heezy, what's up, Tony? Did you get filled at 69,833? No, I got filled at 69,810. 69,810. Let's go 29.48 VIX today. Could happen. Everything is lined up for the boom to go off. LOL. Hope it is a market boom and not something else. Yeah, things are lined up. That's for sure. Made my 2%. See you guys tomorrow. Have a great day, y'all. What's up, Zellion? Good job. Nice trading. Good stuff. Love it. Send Bitcoin to 35K with haste. We need Sailor liquidated. That would be bad unless you want Bitcoin to go much lower. You do know. I mean, if Sailor has to liquidate, that would be very bad. But obviously, if you're holding shorts, it would be very good for you. I do not think that's what's going to happen, but I could be wrong. Up now. It's up. It's just not up that far. It's going to take some time. If you look at it in terms of like the daily range, this pullback is kind of shallow. That's why I was like, if it drops under this, I'll wait for it to test yesterday's low. It's kind of a shallow range day. Bitcoin is barely up though. Barely up. So, we could see, what would a like 2% move look like on the day? Would be up to around yesterday's high from this area where we got long. If we take out yesterday's high, that would be where you would want to take profits from here if you're just looking for the scalp. And then sellers are going to be looking for shorts in this area. But, I mean, there's nothing really there but lower time frame levels, maybe. It's that weak high range up here. That's the real level of resistance. That's the key. Bitcoin needs to break above that. If it can break above that, I'd feel much more confident that we're probably going to make another high up at like 75. And then ultimately a retest of February's open. It's a nice move on Nvidia, but a huge bounce. We almost took out yesterday's low. Almost. Not yesterday, sorry. The previous day. Tuesday's low. 182.01. 182.05. So we were literally 4 cents shy of taking that low out. It'd be nice if it can get under that and then start trending. It'd be a nice move lower probably. This is a big level. Big level. This will change my narrative or my bias moving on, depending on what this does. Once you start closing weekly candles under the 21, that's when I start to get more bearish. And you did close one under it. And then you closed another one under it. So if this was the short and it does end up closing back under this 21 this week, Nvidia could be getting ready for a nasty move lower. So we need this week. If you have a bearish bias, you want this week to close under. But if you close back above it again, that's going to feel more bullish, as it will feel like a rejection. Rejected breakdown. I don't think Bitcoin longs work today if Nvidia does that. If Nvidia gets hammered hard today, I don't think Bitcoin longs are going to work out. But we'll see. The nice reaction. But if the sellers are in control of price, it's going to be a sellable op. And sellers were in control of price here. Yeah. I would have much rather had this structure above the zero line today. I'd feel a little bit better about the long working out if that was like that. But it isn't, so we'll see. No pants. What's up, Wes? Where would you long Bitcoin today? We've already didn't we've 69.8 is where we got long. Right here. If it's going to go up, we want to see it go up from there. If it doesn't go up from here, if it rolls back over, then we're probably going to be looking for Tuesday's low. Sorry, Wednesday's low to be taken out. So if it fails here, like if Bitcoin breaks down below 69.5, I would be anticipating a retest of 69K. But yeah, I mean, we were talking about buying it when it traded down here. We didn't buy the first wick. We gave it a minute. We let it come back down, and that's when I put the long on. So, yeah, I'm shocked to hear you say that, because I thought I was doing a pretty good job of walking us through it. I guess not. All right. But yeah, I mean, this is where I want to see it run away from. And it's done that so far, but this bounce, if the sellers are in control of price, they're just going to sell into it. So clearly I want to see it start making fresh day highs pretty soon. Then I'll feel really good about it. Yeah, so that's yesterday's high. This is your current day high. We can get above that and stay above that, then yeah, I'll feel good about it. As long as we're under that, you know, the sellers are threatening. I like the structure. The structure has held really nice all week at the VWAP. So when you came off the weekly open down here, got back above March's open right here, boom. You came up into the monthly VWAP. You can see how price wiggled here a little bit, because this was in the area of interest. Your sellers are going to jump on it here, and buyers were looking to buy the dip. And then boom, away it went. So that's nice. On the first test, you want to see it hold. Not only did it hold, but you got a nice reaction off of it. The fact that it came back again, that was the opportunity to get long. So now, since that's already happened, we want to see these bulls, if they're legit, we want to see them hold support. A higher low support. We want to see it rally. And then if you get up into here, like if you make a new day high and keep going, you get above this, you could have a really nice day on your hands. I wouldn't anticipate all that happening because tomorrow is a massive data dump. Though today could be just very sideways and choppy all day on all of these markets, not just Bitcoin. Nvidia, Tesla, gold, silver, dollar, S&P, NASDAQ, all of them could be very choppy. That's a big data dump. We rarely ever see that many things dropped on one day. Core PC, which is the Fed's favorite inflation gauge, we got inflation on Wednesday, the CPI data, inflation rate, and inflation isn't going up. Surprised, shocker. So inflation looks good, but the Fed likes the PCE better. They think it's more relevant to where inflation is headed. And there's a no change anticipated here. So last month you got 0.4%. They're anticipating no change. That's what's being forecasted. So anything a 0.3 or a 0.5 will be pretty much a nothing burger, right? A nothing burger. But then you get durable goods, GDP, and then jolts. It's like you're going to get hit at 8:30, then you're going to get hit at 10. Big numbers. Jolts usually, sometimes jolts doesn't do anything, but sometimes it does. Sometimes it does. Last week we got the non-farm payrolls, and the non-farm payrolls number was not good. I think that's why the dollar struggled breaking out last week. Friday non-farm payrolls, then it pulls back, but that support was bought. So looks like bulls are still trying to drive that breakout on the dollar, even though you got bad NFP numbers. Time will tell. So silver looks good on the very near term, like the 30-minute. The 4-hour looks like a pullback. This wick is just a midpoint test. Right into this wick. So if it can't break under 85.81 today and start trending, if you got short this morning, your position is going to be threatened. Oh, my cat is absolutely going ape shit in there. Shut up. He likes the back talk. Yeah, so we'll see what it does. But I would love to see it break down below this. Love to see that. Keep an eye on the prior 30-minute swing high. I mean, it looks like it's going right back up there. But it could stop here. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. Bitcoin making a fresh 30-minute high. That's pretty good. For anybody just joining us, we were looking for longs at 69,833 right here. It was the prior 4-hour open. And then we had the wick low, also keeping an eye on it just to see if it wanted to do like a liquidation break and then trade above. So far we got a nice little reaction here, but we're not out of the woods. Not by a long shot. This is the that's 4-hour resistance, or right at it, close to it. It's 12-hour res. So you haven't been able to close a 12-hour candle above that. That's resistance until you get one close above. So that's kind of like the line in the sand here this morning. Right here's where a lot of bears are going to be setting, essentially. Or a lot of short positioning. Okay, I read that. Nice scalping today. Already made $45 from a $100 trading the range on 1 minute, 5 minute from the open. Nothing else to do. Yeah, it's a very choppy day so far. You're trading inside yesterday's range. It's an inside day. The way I teach candlestick analysis, we don't label them. We don't put like fancy names on them, like a running man candle or 3 white crows or whatever. There's 3 kinds: trending, outside, inside. That's it. That's the only kind of candles that you can make, essentially. It's either going to trend, it's going to be an inside, or it's going to be an outside. And today's candle, as it sits right now, is an inside. It's trading inside the prior day's high and low. Very choppy, range-bound day. Last 5 minute close looks healthy. Yeah, but I mean, it's a 5 minute candle. You know what I mean? I really would love to see it start making fresh highs, because it's an inside candle. Right? So really and truly, even on the 1 minute chart, you haven't done anything new until you're trading above 70,080 or 805, right? You got to get above this, and then you must trend in order to say, okay, this is looking more constructive. Because even if it gets above it and then rejects, it could end up becoming a bearish engulfing. There's still a lot of time on this candle. This candle isn't going to close for an hour and 41 minutes. And we got almost 2 hours, an hour and whatever, 40 minutes. We need this to start trending above this price. And then secondarily, right? If you're under this price, then you're doing a no-no. You're doing nothing good. This is why I do not like, looking at these lower time frames, because I can see the same data in one candle instead of looking at 50 that show me the exact same data. But these are the levels right here, here, and here. This is your trading range. This is where basically all the near-term orders are being dealt. That's why it bounced from here, right? Because that's the trading range. This is where bulls would have been sitting. This is why I designed the strategy this way. But we want to look to operate where other buyers are looking to operate. And same goes for the sellers. So if you are range trading, this is where you'd be looking to get long. Up here's where you'd be looking to get out. Right? So until we're above this, we haven't done anything. Nothing constructive at all. But yeah, it did look okay. I mean, I do like to see the big candles as long as it keeps doing that in the same direction. Because I've been doing this for so long, I know just how easy it is to get one of these right behind one of these. You know what I mean? Yeah, it is a choppy mess. Like, look at this. Big wick lower, nice move up, right back in. It's like, come on. Get out of this. We need you up here, dude. Yeah, the higher time frame charts, they just show you what's going on. I know people don't like looking at it, but I do. You know what I mean? It's my preference, I guess. But when we're doing these, live streams for the public, we'll look at whatever time frames y'all want to look at. I don't care. I used to trade on the 1 minute and the 5 minute. Just because I know where my higher time frame levels are doesn't mean that I don't occasionally look at a small time frame chart. If you put what's going on with Bitcoin here, we know that, you know, we're still stuck in the previous 4-hour sessions range as long as we're below 70 and above 69,597. If you put that into context to what the dollar is doing, look at what the dollar is doing here. It's doing the exact opposite of that, right? Bitcoin is also trading as an inside day today, which means it's trading inside yesterday's range. The dollar is gapped up and running. So the dollar is literally trending to the upside today. So that's why I have an upside bias on the dollar. It's why I was kind of acting like I didn't really want to trade Bitcoin today. It's Thursday, and I kind of feel like if the dollar does break out, it could put downside pressure on Bitcoin. It doesn't mean it will, it just could. So in order for me to be bullish on Bitcoin, I want to see the dollar fail. So if we drop down to the same exact candlesticks that I'm looking at on Bitcoin to devise a trading range, this is an outside candle. It means you took out the previous low, well, you did, and the previous high, you did. You're trading well above it. This is what a trend looks like. So just looking at this chart, I can see the whole day's range, what it did at the open, what it's doing right now. And what it's doing right now is trending. This was your day high. You're well above it up here. Well above it. So as long as you're above this price, 99.52, the threat is higher, not lower. But even knowing that, retail is going to jump on this and short it, and the probabilities of that working out are so low at this point now, especially. But I mean, it could. You could just as simply print a bearish engulfing on the next candle. You are into resistance up here, so there's no way I would have bought the dollar right here. But I was looking for gap fill. This is yesterday's close right here. There's your high. So if this candle were to trade down into these wicks, you've got gap fill. And you did get gap fill. This looks like stop run, and boom, up she goes. Look at that. Right here, you fill the gap, and then boom. A dollar's trading on the outside edge of the range right now. Kind of feels like it wants to go higher. Not lower, higher. Though Bitcoin could still trend and we could still be right on this trade. But I would much rather the dollar be heading lower violently for me to feel better about this long working out. Nvidia is starting to do what I want to see it do here. I'm telling you, man, if this thing could get under 180, 184, we could see this thing rock and roll. 181, what was it? No, it was 182.01 is Wednesday's or Tuesday's low. Sorry, 182.01. You got so close to taking it out right there, but you didn't. So close. Yeah, we get under that. So this is like a gap and go to the downside. You gapped down below this day's low. Right here's where you open. So you gapped under it. This move up was a gap fill. And boom. So it wasn't really a gap and go because you filled that gap first. A gap and go is usually when you gap down, open, and just put in that lower move. Kind of seems like that would happen or would have happened today, but it didn't. I do like that it's back under this. It makes this feel like a trap. Weekly opens all the way down here though, so this could just be a pullback. You're not testing the midpoint of the weekly range or anything. You're just barely off the weekly high. So if you look at this on a weekly chart, it doesn't look bad, does it? It doesn't look bad at all yet. I kind of felt like, I mean, I hated that we got this high above the previous week's high. If something's going to remain weak, I want to see it just barely get above it and then fail. The fact that it pushed this far into it and above it kind of made me feel like maybe the sellers aren't really that strong here. We're starting to get a good look now. But if it does what I think it's going to do, this candle hopefully closes blue down. That would be like a perfect look. And I would feel really confident going into next week that our February open short yesterday, it was the right trade. And I wasn't the only one looking for that trade. We all were. Hopefully that plays out. It looks really good here on the intraday. I like that. I do. I like that. But let's get down here and smoke these lows now. Please. And then free fall, baby. Free falling. We'll see. We'll see if it does. So close. No cigar. And then, on top of that, you've got your day traders. Like I said, your moving averages coming out to the bell this morning were perfectly structured for a short on the bell. Perfect. Really close together with the 200 above. Yeah, that's a short. It's a short until price proves that it isn't. It's not a great gigantic move, but that could have been a very, very easy day trade to make some money. It's a $2 and some odd change move, right? It's not a huge move, but with a little bit of leverage, that's definitely a scalping. Not a scalp we like. We like at least a 2% move. Because we don't put on like a shitload of leverage. Some people would say that I trade with way too much leverage. But 20x, that ain't nothing. I've seen guys put on 40, 50. And then you got your crazies out there with trading with 100. It's insane. I don't see how they make any money trading with 100x leverage. Any money at all. The fees alone on a position like that would eat so much into your profits. Unless you have a really high hit rate, you're not going to make money using a 100x leverage. I've done it before, but I also got liquidated. I got liquidated like instantly. I put the position on and 2 seconds later, all my money was gone. Bang. It's like, well, I won't do that again. Yeah, it is dangerous, man. That's 100 times bigger than your position. That is massively insane. But yeah, dollar broke out, dollar closed higher above. It's not breaking out of the range it needs to break out of. I'm talking about the 30-minute candle. It's a higher 30-minute close. So there's your breakout here and close above. So as long as the dollar is trading above this price right here, I would anticipate higher. So any pullback down to here would be a viable opportunity, looking for a higher dollar. Now, hopefully that translates to silver's religion, because we did put or tell people this is where you want to look for the short on silver, right here at the day high. So it would be nice to see silver break down and make a new day low. If the dollar keeps doing what it's doing right now, I think that could be possible. But they're not very correlated right, or inversely correlated right now either. We can check it because I do have the correlation coefficient. It's right here. Correlation coefficient. Just type in DXY. Apply. Yeah. Inversely correlated. So anything above the 0 line is considered positively correlated. So they move together. And then anything below the 0 line is considered inversely correlated. They move opposite. And then anything at 0 is they're not correlated at all. But right now we have more of an inverse correlation with silver to the dollar. So if the dollar's breaking out, we want to see silver roll over. But we've got everything what we want happening, and everything looks okay so far, but it's the continuation that matters. Does it give us that move lower plus continuation? I think all of this up in here was just a trap. It was just stopping. It got too, the short trade got too congested down here. All these daily highs are so close to one another. It had to make a run to the upside. This is what I feel like Bitcoin needs to do before it can roll over. My only problem with Bitcoin is I don't know how high it needs to go to do that. So I'm assuming it's going to be February's open. But the short or the long today doesn't look to be working. February's open is way up there. Way up here. I think if we can get up there and then fail, that would be the better place to put a short on. Down here, it's too extended to the downside. But the structure's bearish here. I mean, you can look for shorts here. I just won't. I think there are better things to put short risk on than Bitcoin right now. Like Nvidia and S&P 500. Here's the thing. If Nvidia and S&P 500 break down, Bitcoin could break down too. Bitcoin's already retested the daily 21. And it's retested it many times. Each day that goes by, this 200-day moving average is getting closer and closer to price. So in a sense, just by Bitcoin trading sideways, you're wiping off all of that bullish bounce that would be needed if the 200 is the mean. So back here, when I said it was way too oversold, look how much lower price is. Almost 10,000. I mean, look how much lower the indicator is. 88,317. Whereas here, when it was almost 3 standard deviations away to the low, it was 2.88. It was not quite 3 standard deviations, but it was close. Now you're not 2.88 standard deviations away. I would say at best you're like 1.7. So each day that goes by, this gets closer and closer to price. That's wiping away that standard deviation. So the more of that deviation you delete, the better the chances get that Bitcoin could break down and make another leg lower. So yeah, very sideways, choppy stuff, but we'll see what it does. All right. Yeah, it's back down to our entry now. Like I said, these bounces at levels, guys, usually get sold into. So, and that's what happened here. It got sold into. It could still hold. This is the low. That's that prior 4-hour swing low. You're still inside here. It's still an inside candle. If it holds support, it'll be okay, but it just doesn't feel like it's going to. But it could. It could in the last 10 minutes of this candle go right back up, but I would want it to be higher in the range. The more time it spends down here, the more it feels like it's going to break. At least this. If it breaks this, where's the next level of liquidations? Right here. And then after that, right here. Yesterday's low. So instead of me just marking all these levels, I know they're there, right? So this is the main one. That's why I said if this level doesn't hold as support, then I want to watch what happens when price gets down here. And so far it's not holding. That's a lower close. The lower close. So this is probably going to end up becoming a loss. So make sure it's a small loss. Don't set in a big loss thinking that it's going to reverse and go back up. Small losses. You want small losses, big winners. Make your losses tiny if you can. Your portfolio grows over time. Eliminate the big losses and most of you will become profitable almost overnight. Dollar is making a fresh day high right now. Fresh day high on the dollar, fresh day high on the VIX, fresh day low on Nvidia, fresh day low on S&P. So we're trending now at this point. Even here, we're trending. So in one day, today, you took out yesterday's low and the prior day's low. Now it's starting to look like a reversal. Not quite a reversal yet. It would be more like a head and shoulders. This is your neckline. This is your neckline. It would be very interesting to see what happens in the second half of today. Do we hold this area and bounce back up to the open? Or does it break down and give you a large move? Theoretically speaking, if you get a measured move on this head and shoulders, you're looking at a measured move like something like this. Now, I don't think that would happen in one day, but if the VIX continues to expand up from 26, that can absolutely happen in one day. But tomorrow, I see no reason why you couldn't see a 176, 175 Nvidia. Yeah. Good stuff. Good stuff. Good stuff. Looking good. I like it. I love it. We called this trade out 2 weeks ago. Right here. It's not magic. Simple. All right, so now we've got XAG, at least now on the USDT perpetual swap futures contract. The deltas have gotten down to negative, so that's a good look. Just can it continue? All right, you have taken out the prior 4-hour swing low on Bitcoin now. So now you are trending to the downside. Not on the day range, but on the 4-hour range. At this point in time, you have broken the prior swing low and you are heading lower. So this is a trending candle now to the downside. Coming into 4-hour support and another 4-hour support, I get it. There's support down here. And that support is going to be your monthly VWAP, this blue line right here. So, I mean, it could bounce here, but I'm not going to try to get long at here and then here and then here. You know what I mean? That's too many losses. If it doesn't hold here, I can just wait till it gets down here. If it takes 2 days, whatever. If it happens today, whatever. But down here's where I got to see what price does at that point. Because at that point, you've changed the entire structure on the daily. Because you were all week, right? This is Sunday's close. Monday was a higher low. Tuesday was a higher low. Wednesday was a higher low. So Thursday, if you get down here, you've changed it. It's no longer higher low, higher low, higher low. Yesterday was a lower high. So if you make a lower low here, you do have a potential reversal on your hands. I wouldn't call it an evening star reversal, but it is a reversal. It is a potential reversal. So that literally means just by doing that, tomorrow, Bitcoin will have more sell side pressure on it than buy side pressure just from technical traders alone. Do you see what I'm saying? So I didn't really want to see this, but I kind of felt like it was going to happen because the dollar is literally breaking out to the upside. I think the dollar is putting pressure on Bitcoin. I think that's what's been going on with Bitcoin for the last several months. Dollar's failure to break down has caused Bitcoin to sell off. And sell off hard, it did. If you guys aren't prepared for a dollar breakout, like a big breakout and a much higher move, you need to get ready for that. Because I believe it might be coming. It's going to stop out. Most retail is short. Like I asked Grok, because I heard it from, who's the dollar milkshake guy? Brent Johnson. And his last video upload he put on, he said something like the dollar is like record levels of short open interest. I think he said that. I'm not going to say he did for sure say that because maybe I'm putting a couple words in his mouth. I'm not sure. So I asked Grok this morning if the dollar is at record levels of open short interest instead of just going and looking for myself. Right? And he said, yeah, you can, wait, what did he say? Non-commercial speculators, hedge fund, net position, 49, right here. This is net short for specs and has been building aggressively in recent weeks with reports noting extreme bearishness amid DXY's weakness earlier in 2026, down significantly year to date at times, though recently rebounding. Is it record levels? Multiple sources, e.g. Oanda Market Pulse Seeking Alpha analysis from February, describe positioning as the most bearish / pessimistic since 14 years ago. So basically just reading that, we can say that the dollar has a lot of bearish open interest. Retail is trying to short the highs. That's why we wanted the dollar to break down here. The dollar had everything it needed to break down and continue lower. It had the macro, it had the technicals, it had the order flow, it had the volume, it had the momentum. It literally had everything it needed. It's when it rejected going lower. We were fine with that. It's fine. We anticipate a bounce. Once you liquidate a massive level like this, we anticipate a bounce. But it was the lower high. That's what we needed to see. A lower high and then continuation. When we didn't get that here, we flipped to bullish. We flipped to bullish on the dollar. We got to be bullish because it's not doing what we want it to do. You have to identify that stuff. You can't just keep your bias the same. When price is king, it's literally telling you, no, your bias is wrong. You have to be able to flip. Otherwise, you're going to continuously try to short these highs when it is no longer a short. That's a higher high. You smoked that high right there. That's a weekly swing high. So if you look at the dollar now, you got that's a higher high right there. This is a lower high, lower low. Higher low though. Sorry, it's not a lower low, it's a higher low. Higher low, higher low. The dollar hasn't been bearish in weeks. It hasn't been bearish in weeks. So if it breaks out above the August high, boom, you can have a 2023 retest on your hands in a matter of minutes. This thing can get crazy to the upside. It's got record levels of short open interest. This is a falling wedge. It's often looked at for bullish breakout potential. It's not a bear flag, it's a falling wedge. I don't trade patterns, I trade candles, right? I let the candles tell me what my analysis should be. I analyze price objectively to what it has done to kind of give me a directional bias. And we haven't been bearish on the dollar for a minute. It doesn't mean it can't fail here. So if you have a short bias, please don't, I'm not telling you that you're wrong, but I am telling you, make sure you're not going to lose too much money if you are wrong. Don't keep trying to push that bias onto these charts because you could get a big breakout on your hands soon. I want it to fail. I do. I absolutely want it to fail. And I will short it if it does fail, but it's got to get back down into here before I can even have a bearish bias on it. Unfortunately. Yeah, I think the threat is to the upside here, and it could be a big one, and that would put pressure on Bitcoin, unfortunately. Unfortunately. That's the only reason I've had a short side silver bias, is because of my long side dollar bias. Normally, I wouldn't be trying to short something that is up so much. Silver is up so much. It's so strong. I was thinking maybe a breakdown is coming on silver if the dollar could break out. The dollar hasn't broken out yet. That's the issue. It's still very choppy and very range bound, and it's making all the other markets very choppy and very range bound. So until we get like a clear directional shift on the dollar, we're going to be a little bit range bound. If the dollar breaks out, I would stop selling puts. Like if you are employing or deploying a put sell strategy on Bitcoin right now, I'd probably stop doing that. And there's a few other things I would stop doing if the dollar breaks out. Well, we'll see. Only time will tell. But yeah, obviously I'm out of the Bitcoin long. Still holding Nvidia shorts and silver short. Nvidia is starting to trend at this point. Nvidia is starting to look really good. Holy cow, it's looking good. This is Tesla. Sorry. Nvidia still looks like garbage. I wish Nvidia looked like Tesla. Damn it. Tesla was a long going into this morning. See, like I said, if you get under this and then start to trend, there's your first close under, second close under. Leave it alone because it's probably going lower. And there it goes. It looks good to the downside. Tesla has taken out multiple day lows. Damn. That's Tuesday, so Monday's low is all the way down here. I do not think you're going to get all the way down there today, but VIX and S&P and things are looking rough. It's hard for me to short Tesla, but It's actually moving pretty damn good here today. It's down 3.15%. Nvidia's down 2. Things are looking pretty down. Retail might be right on this, on being bearish risk markets. They are feeling heavy. You haven't been able to close a bearish candle on the S&P 500 under December's low yet. So right here is your December low on the cash market S&P. Let me make it bigger. Oh, wrong one. Let's do this. So right here is December's low. You have not been able to close a single bearish day under this level. And you didn't do it Monday either. Today you're under this. This is dangerous. This is dangerous. It's not the breakdown point. You're still range bound if you're looking at the monthlies, because November's range is so large. So November's low will be the breakdown point. November broke down, right? It took out the previous month's low. That's where the bull showed up. So this is the level. You lose this, whoo, it could get real nasty on the S&P. But you're already under, like I said today, you're under December's low. You start closing days under this, my downside target is November's low. The things are starting to look pretty bad out there. Big bullish move, but the trend is down. It's moving lower. This happens in bearish markets. They usually get sold into, and it did this time too. You haven't taken out that day's low yet, and I don't know that you will today. But if it does, it's going to get nasty. Tomorrow's Friday. My lines are a little bit offset here. I guess it'll be fine. That Friday closed right on the edge. Tomorrow's Friday, and you're going to have a massive data dump tomorrow. I kind of figured today would be a very slow, small range day. You're gapping down. This is a gap and go. You gapped lower, and there's no fill, no gap fill there. Now, to be fair, this was a low close yesterday, a lower close. And you did trade down to there. So just opening right here kind of opened right at gap fill. That might be why we didn't see a wick up today on the S&P. Market participants took it as gaps filled already. Let's go. That's why I kind of was like, about the Bitcoin long. But it is what it is. We took it. Very little risk. Very small loss. All right, so you're trending here, but into support. So it could chop around. Still got an hour on this close. Silver just, for whatever reason, will not give up the ghost. Give up the ghost. February's open has been acting as support. Not on that specific chart, but if we come over here and look at the XAG, what is going on here?
Are you still married to that dentist? Cut your teeth on paper tin, all of it. Baptize your boredom.
Big support level here. We broke it. It held as resistance, resistance, resistance. And then this day put in a nasty bullish engulfing. Boom, boom. Short side trade was too congested. stopped out the shorts, then they came back. This is the level. This, if we can close today under this, it'll feel a little bit better about the short. But this is your support zone right here. It is crucial that it loses this level today. If it can't, I'm going to hate it. I'm going to be mad at it and all emotional. It's kind of a nerve-wracking trade because, like I said, dollar is at resistance. So it's struggling to break out. And because it's struggling to break out, it makes, trying to get positioned for that move a little bit difficult. I'm trying to get positioned on silver or on euro or on something to participate in the dollar rally, the dollar breakout. I was hoping the dollar would do that today or tomorrow. Break out, get above, at least get above last week's high, man. Because last week's high is right there. That's right where I'd be looking to put shorts on if I had a short side bias. On the dollar today, I would be looking right here to put that short on. Ooh, I didn't mean to move that level. I'd be looking right there for that short. So it could still fail. And then Bitcoin ultimately could still hold support. Well, we'll see. I don't care if it wicks under yesterday's low and does ultimately make that lower high, lower low sequence. But I want to see the bulls show up there. I want to see a strong reversal from there back to the upside. Show me that the bulls are in fact here and accumulating and ready to run. Otherwise, it's going to feel like it's probably wanting to revisit March's open and then the weekly support. More of the same. More of the same range-bound trading. We can literally get rid of all these lines if we wanted to and just focus on these two. Right here. That's literally all Bitcoin's been doing. Like, you've done nothing. It's just more of the same. More sideways, choppy, garbage price action. We'll see what it does. Hopefully the buyers pick it up down here today. I like Bitcoin to be bullish because I know more people make money when markets are bullish than when they're bearish. I understand. When volatility is elevated, some traders really struggle. Some traders just can't get that concept that, higher vol means you got to shrink your position sizing, shrink your risk units because price is a lot more chaotic. It's a lot more difficult to predict. Technical analysis does not really work that good when volatility is elevated this high. It does still work, it just doesn't work that great. So you got to take smaller losses, less trades. All right, up to 80 with the same 100 I started today. Looks good for some takeout tonight. Yep, I like me some takeout. TL retest on Bitcoin. Tuesday's low, yeah, potentially. We got to get down to Wednesday's low first, but hopefully it doesn't get down there. Would love to see that monthly VWAP act like support like it did right here. But dollar be strong. Earlier in this, or just like 30 minutes ago, I said as long as the dollar stays above this level, up. Look how that wick came in here, just shy. And then up. Closed up, and now up. Yeah, there's no way I'd get in front of that. Like, no way. That is why ES and NQ aren't going down, because there are major puts on them, so they keep it range bound for the theta decay. I don't know that anybody, like, I know that's the consensus, and that's, everybody likes to do that. I even say it, they, you know, the infamous they control the market so they can, I don't think that's what's going on at all. But I mean, market makers are just, they're taking the opposite side of your trade, but not for the directional bias. They're taking the other side of your trade because they get a discount on order to fill orders. They operate on the spread. Even options market makers operate on a spread. So I mean, they don't really give a shit about directional bias. They just don't. There might be some traders out there, though, that do target that stuff, right? Like if you see a lot of deltas being built up at a specific strike, then maybe they are a few out there that are taking advantage of that. But I mean, we can take advantage of all that too. We have all the same data they have. They might have more, and because they have a lot more money and stuff like that, but we have access to pretty much the same data. Now, having, you know, split nanosecond fills aren't going to really do anything for us, but if you're operating with millions of orders, then it would. You know what I mean? They might be able to get a very, very near-term bias on what's happening based on the speed at which orders are coming through. Stuff like that. I don't know. It's fine. I like to just say, if the market does this, then I can do that, right? It just gives me a very, very simplistic way to approach price. And as long as my winners are bigger than my losers, I make money long term. I like it like that. It's very simple. Yeah, oil just made a fresh high. A fresh day high. The oil is just almost back up to where it opened the other day. It is almost right back up there to where it gapped up. Well, it's way above that price on this chart. Get the TVC one. Yeah, right there. That's where oil gapped up to. Boom. And then ripped on Sunday evening. It says Monday, but it happened Sunday night. It's almost back up there again. So you've taken out Monday's high, Tuesday's high. It's trending higher. It'll probably roll over eventually. Let's see what it does at gap fill 97.90. I'm not interested in shorting it. I just want to see if it does find a little bit of resistance there. As you have just liquidated all of the early shorts today. You have just liquidated them. They have been stopped out. So now it'll be interesting to see what price does moving forward here. Because we could potentially look for shorts now that everybody's been liquidated if it fails to trend higher. And we could target, not for today, but maybe like a multi-day hold lower. But it would definitely be on the opposite side. Like retail is trying to short it. The sentiment would be to look for longs. And of course, I'm not buying it up here. But if I was looking for longs on oil, it'd be around lows, current swing or prior swing lows or opens. Like in here in all this chop, you can see where the clear resistance was. That wick right there, boom. That would have been a good long entry. In hindsight, obviously. But that's what I do. That's how I trade. That's what I look for. I look for longs at lows and shorts at highs when sentiment shifts. Right now, it's currently trending, so there's no way I would try to do that today. So Nvidia is still refusing to break down. Silver still refusing to break down. Gold looking pretty good here. Gold back into daily support or Tuesday's open. But it's still going to be just support. Like, I would almost be interested in buying gold here if it can get there and hold. So if it can get here and hold, just wick under, wick under, wick under, then I might be interested in buying it. But we'll see. If it just breaks through and closes under it quickly, then no, obviously, no. Not with the dollar breaking out. And the dollar's got some steam on it now. Starting to move good here. It's got some steam on it. It's going headed to that big 100, big number. It's still a ways up there. But that is a big figure number. That's going to be around your August highs. Wait. Yeah, up there. Got it. August highs, the 100 big fig comes in right here. Oh my gosh, you're stopping out everybody from Friday. Last week. Nice. So this is where I'd be looking at it to reverse. If I was looking for the reversal, I'm not. And plus it's on this is happening on a Thursday, not a Monday or a Tuesday. This is upside continuation. But yeah, now it can really get moving. Come on, silver, what's with you, bro? Break down, sucker. Let's go. You got to crush that February open. Then you got to crush Wednesday low. Crush it. Let's go. Give me a big move. You haven't given us a big move since 2 Mondays and Tuesday, right? That was a big move Monday, then a nice move Tuesday. This is what I would love to see silver do. Bam. That was like a 9% move, man. That was a great trade. This is pathetic. 2.67% move. Come on, give us a 5 or a 6% move today. I'm not expecting too much. Not expecting too much, just a giant move. Never seen your channel before. Like the stream. Are you like Crypto Faces saying alter ego? A lot of people have compared me to him. I guess it's because we have the same raspy old man voice. I don't know. I don't know the guy. We've never met. I reached out to do a collab with him a long time ago, but he's a much larger channel, so he probably has people that look at stuff like that, but never got a response. I never met him. But no, I mean, yeah, we just trade price action. We try to simplify analysis for newer traders or failing traders, struggling traders. But I appreciate the compliment. I like it. Thank you very much. Dollar still trending up. Silver starting to give us the move we wanted. Is Nvidia rolling over yet? Not yet. This is big support, guys. We got the March's VWAP here. The weekly 21 exponential also. The big support. It's going to take quite a bit of stuff to chew through that. Oh, maybe tomorrow we get a bigger move on Nvidia to the downside. Maybe not. We'll see. Tesla also retesting the day 200. Starting to see a little bit more of that risk off look you were talking about earlier on Aussie yen. Obviously, it's just an inside day at this point. You haven't really done anything dangerously yet. But last week's high is here. If Aussie yen can get back under that and close this week under this, I will look at this as a swing high failure pattern and potentially start looking to the other side. But before I give anybody the expectations that I'm going to be jumping on an Aussie yen short today or tomorrow, that is only if risk markets start to take a tumble. Because I would like to see the yen strength when markets are weak. That way you kind of got a confirmation that, yeah, it does look like people are starting to position here for a yen strength move, which would be a risk off move. The JGB 30 yields are approaching back to the upside, which is kind of what you would want to see. That is happening, but where's the yen futures right here? This is still very weak. So if Aussie yen is rolling over today, it's going to be due to Aussie weakness, not yen strength. Aussie weakness, not yen strength. Down here is a massive liquidation level on the yen. It's massive. These are your yen futures here. You can see there is nothing down here. Nothing. Now, it doesn't look like this on USD JPY because these are expirations. On futures, futures have expirations, just like options. And then, sometimes you get gap ups and gap downs that isn't because of weakness or strength in price. It's literally because of contract change. So it doesn't look as bad on the USD JPY chart. But it's close. We know the BOJ will intervene. They said they would. But that's what it's going to take. This thing looks very bullish today. You've given back literally all of that move. So I wondered when the spread traders would say that the USD yen was attractive again for longs. 152 was the answer. 152. They were like, yeah, let's get long again. There's plenty of juice to squeeze. It's looking rough. All right, Bitcoin bouncing slightly here. So dollar is struggling to break out. For now. It is starting to reject the prior week's high. It hasn't rejected it yet, but it's starting to. I assume it would probably just continue, but we'll see. Could be the day high on the dollar. Could have the daily high now. S&P making fresh day lows. Nice. This is a big breakdown spot. VIX 2718. So it's starting to feel like we are getting a trend here. Constructive trend. You got it down a descending channel anyway. You do have that. Kind of see where we bounced the last time. Something like this. I don't know. It's a big breakdown spot. November's low is going to be my downside target if we close under December's low, which is right here. Today is almost low enough to give you December's low as the midpoint of today's range. Whew, things could get nasty today. It's a very ugly chart. Anytime you see this pattern in the future, just remember that. This like, it's just disgusting, ugly rollover. There's so many names for it. It's just not good. It's Thursday. Bitcoin always dumps. Yeah, Jane Street must be on the ball, huh? Thursday, it always dumps. It's still up this week. It still looks fine on the weekly range, to be honest. We'll see what it does from here. The dollar's pulling back kind of, it's not a severe retracement, but it is starting to pull back a little bit. Bitcoin is holding support. It's a support test. It's holding it. Yeah, you did make a lower 4-hour low, but it's a trending candle, so it's not great. I wouldn't love the idea of trying to buy it right here, but I would love to buy Wednesday's low if it refuses to trend below that. And the dollar's pulled back away from last week's high. Then I could potentially look for that long on Bitcoin. Yeah, VIX 2701. Yeah, I tried to, when I took the short on Nvidia yesterday, I tried to put on a full-size position, and the Weeks platform still would not let me do it. So it still has me restricted at 20 contracts with 20x leverage. If you change your leverage size, you can change your contract size. So I don't know what's up with that. There still isn't very much liquidity on the perpetual swap futures yet for Nvidia. I think once when more and more people start to trade it, then they'll start allowing you to take bigger sizes. So unfortunately, it's just not down enough for a small position to be able to make any money. But I'm gonna hold it as long as Nvidia is trading under February's open. I want to be short. I also have that option contract on where I took that trade that Michael Burry took last year. I'm not anticipating that that's going to pay anything. You would need a massive breakdown on Nvidia for that trade to pay out. But we could see something crazy like that. It's just not the norm. It's not what I would expect to be the norm. It could be. We'll see. Tesla's still holding support. The triple Qs. Solana looks exactly like Bitcoin, almost candle for candle. ETH looks almost identical to Bitcoin, candle for candle. Fartcoin was a good short. Man, now I wish in hindsight I would have taken that. No, I didn't. It was a pretty good move. You did take out the daily low. We wouldn't have been able to take it up here. We would have had to take it here. So let's just be honest and get it right where we might have taken it at the last week's open. It would have been just barely a 3% move. But it did at least put in that lower low. And it looked a lot better with the deltas. The deltas looked good. They were negative and trending. So they looked a little bit better. This would have been like the favorite if I was looking for short crypto trades today. It would have definitely been Fartcoin. My concern with Fartcoin is we've been shorting it since $1.50. It's down to 15 cents. It's just like, ugh. It's lost a lot of like momentum. It really doesn't have any momentum anymore. And that makes it unattractive. We like Fartcoin when it's got a lot of momo. And then Bonk, Pingu, same thing. These are all three alts that have no use case, no meaning. They're all just meme tokens. You can see how volume's like drying up in them. Hence the reason why we're over on stuff like silver and Nvidia. But big wedge here on silver. It doesn't really fit anymore. I guess you would have to move it around. Might be able to make it a little bit more attractive. Maybe something like that. It's a good looking move, especially after this big bounce off support there. That had me a little bit worried. But hopefully some of y'all was able to get in on that. It was an absolute, you can't get no prettier. I mean, it was an absolute perfect test. Well, not so much on this, but it was absolute perfection on the perpetual swap. Absolute perfection. You can't get any better than that in terms of short-sighted entries. It's beautiful. So hopefully some of you caught that. All right. This is, oh, I read that right. Yeah, Wes said that it's not going down because it's a crowded trade. I agree. And then Khalil said, never seen her channel. Appreciate that. When the skew goes down, the market will start moving lower. I haven't looked at the skew in a minute. It should be up. Skew is kind of inverse to VIX. I mean, sorry, it should be down. I don't know. Yeah, it looks a lot choppy here. So it doesn't look like you're seeing real heavy. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not seeing anything there, but it's elevated. Yeah, maybe. Bitcoin up now? No. I mean, it might. I don't know what it's going to do in the future. But yeah, we'll see. Dollar's pulling back a little bit more aggressively from the previous week's high. So this is definitely going to be a key level for people to keep their eyes on for dollar positioning. Key level here, and you're starting to see it pull back a little bit more aggressive, but it still is just a very small pullback. Yeah, I mean, you really aren't doing anything until you get back under 99.54. several 30-minute bullish candles there in a row, so it makes sense that you might get 2 or 3 bearish ones. It's what happens after that. But yeah, I mean, Bitcoin is that's been Bitcoin's norm, right? You get long, then you get stopped out, then it bulls away. Bulls away. Very choppy. But it's holding support. I'm not long anymore. I closed the trade. Once it started to head lower, I bailed on it. I got the silver short and Nvidia short open. That's pretty much it. I'm interested to see what USD Swissy is doing today. Probably bouncing. It is. Yeah, probably done with this one. Should have been done with it a while back, to be honest with you. Setting in it for this long has just been paying. Because the shorts pay on this. The shorts gotta pay. Just a waste of time and money. There's no point in sitting in a trade if you're not trending. In Forex world. And it's basically bounced all the way back up to the prior open. $32 minutes left on this close. I'll be a son of a gun. If this thing closes as a bullish engulfing, I'm going to be very upset. A bullish engulfing close on a day when the dollar's breaking out. Yeah, it makes sense, right? Not really, but whatever. It's been a difficult scalp. It is what it is. Happens all the time. Bitcoin up now. USD JPY up from US Open. Not far from 159.45 all-time high. Yeah, it's not far from that at all. You just sound a lot like him, except not crazy. Well, that's good, I guess. I can be a little crazy sometimes. And then you did buy at that level. Let's call it a DCA. I like it. I think that's if you're looking for very long-term positioning, DCA is a very good thing to do. It's fine. You definitely want to start buying Bitcoin in these areas. Anytime you get a long-term oversold weekly, you got to start accumulating, right? Even if it does go lower, you still have to start. Historical data shows us that every time Bitcoin gets to weekly oversold on the RSI, it is a very fantastic time to start cost averaging. Historical data. We know eventually it will bounce. It's just because MSTR is like a 2x levered ETF now. It's struggling. And it's making Bitcoin struggle. They're like almost identical charts. Just very choppy here. No momentum whatsoever to speak of. Neither bulls nor bears. Everybody's getting chopped up. Everybody's aggravated. And this thing has been oversold for a very long time. I mean, look at how long you've been oversold since November. November 2025 is when MicroStrategy first hit oversold. We're in March. Like the last month in Q1 2026. Well, we go one more over, start it. 18 weeks MicroStrategy's been oversold. I guess to be fair, there was 2 weeks there when you got a brief moment where you got out of oversold territory, but you went right back into it. Let's see here. Last time this happened, it did not last that long. And then it's a V-shaped recovery. Still did not last that long. So this is, MicroStrategy's been oversold the longest that it looks like it's ever been. Yeah. So this period right here was close. About the same right here. Close. About 18 weeks. That's a long time. That's a long time to be oversold. And it's just not moving whatsoever. Like, look how tight these ranges are. Yeah, very boring stuff. When this thing starts to rip, once it starts making highs and then continuing to do that, it will be a volatile rip, I bet. It won't take long and people will be flooding right back into MSTR. But it definitely looks like it wants to go lower. I wonder what volumes look like on this. They're not even that heavy. Not like you would think. They are big, but they've been heavy for a while. Volumes are heavier from oversold to where you are now than they were back when you were up at 470. So if you put that into comparison, you're doing far above that in here. What we need to see really is like one of these gigantic bullish weeks with heavy volumes. That I think would give us a continuation move where you could actually look for 2 or 3 weeks of upside continuation. I'm in at 180. I was looking to get in again at 90 and it almost got to 90. So I got 180s. And then if we do get down to 90s, I'll add there again. And then I'll be chilling like a villain. That'll bring my cost basis down quite a bit. Quite a bit. All right. Yeah. So we'll see what it does. 25 minutes on this 4-hour close. I'm anxious to see how it closes. Bouncing off the weekly VWAP. Could not get a retest of the month. Spoos might be done here for a little bit, going lower. We'll see. Dollar looking like it wants to retest that prior week's high. 99.68 is the prior week's high on dollar. We're at 99.66. S&P's on the low of day. Nvidia bouncing. refusal to go lower. It might, maybe sellers are looking to sell a higher, I mean a lower high. We'll see. Tesla has failed to go lower so far, but I mean, damn, it looks rough. What does the rest of the tech sector look like right now? It's all red now. Earlier, some of them were green, but now they're all red. Let's get rid of that volume. Get rid of it. Could be, we'll see, but could be a buying opportunity here on Apple. Ooh, that's a lot of bearish momentum. I don't know that I would want to buy that. It's close to taking out Monday's low. So if you bought a fresh weekly low on Monday, you're seeing here on Thursday that it's right back to your entry. That's probably going to force liquidate a few people. A few people is going to be bailing. They're going to be like, nope, I'm not taking a loss. Screw that. Microsoft has been struggling because software as a service has been struggling. Amazon. I'm sure some people are going to be looking for this to be a breakdown. What's the matter with you, Amazon? Google? Meta? Netflix bounced hard. They loved that news of passing on the Warner Bros. Acquisition. Now I think Paramount Plus is going to end up with Warner Brothers. So I don't know. I guess they'll combine the HBO Max app into Paramount Plus. I don't know how that's going to work. I have them both. But yeah, that was a huge bounce off the lows. This is what I was kind of anticipating would happen with MicroStrategy, but it's been some time. Coinbase also got a pretty sizable bounce off the lows. Holding support still. This is a constructive look on Coinbase. It's not last week's low. It's not even there. I don't know why it's finding support here, but it is. If you lose it, you're going to go fill gap. So maybe they think that's sufficient. You did liquidate those lows today on Coinbase, and now you're bouncing. So we'll see what Coin does today, but that was a nice, that's a recover. That's what I would want to see if I was looking for longs on Coinbase. I would want to see that kind of reaction right there. I don't know if they're going to be able to keep it, but it's looking okay. And then Circle, which is the other one everybody likes. Also, nice bounce. Still holding. Pretty nice bounce. This is what I anticipated MSTR of doing, and it never did. Euro dollar made a new low. The euro dollar took out last week's low. They did that on Monday. You're almost back down to Monday's low. Yeah, USD JPY just made fresh highs today. It's going to be because of yen weakness. We've already looked at it. USD CAD also popping a little bit today. So USD pairs are doing good because of dollar strength. Dollar is rejecting last week's high for a little bit. I think it probably will. Big data dump tomorrow. Big data dump tomorrow. So tomorrow will be fun, or could be fun. Maybe the breakout gets sustained tomorrow. There's your first 30-minute lower low. Right off of that prior week's high. It's just a 30-minute lower low. But it is a lower low. Good morning. Good morning, Chase. What's up? Can we look at Boeing? Yeah, I'm not sure why, but I thought Boeing would have done really good on that China buying 500 news. And it's having the opposite effect. Like, okay, so this is when the news came out that China was buying 500 jets, and you could see how big of a pop it got. And this week it's getting hammered. So did they retract that statement or something? And then secondarily, Boeing is also known as like a play whenever there's a war. I have it in my defense watch list. I have a watch list specifically for wartime stocks. It's the number one stock in that watch list. So it is very curious what's going on here. You're in a war, and China broke the news they're going to buy 500 planes. So let's go see. So inks a $289 million bomb deal with Israel. Boeing picks up another defense order. You would think that would be all good news. What's going on with Boeing stock Wednesday? Let's read this. Let's see what Guru Focus has to say. Shares fell nearly 1.5% Wednesday after the company said first quarter deliveries of its 737 MAX jets could face delays due to minor wiring flaws. That's not good. The plane maker said some aircraft are undergoing rework to fix wires with small scratches caused by a machining error, though production continues at the existing rate of 42 jets per month. Boeing did not specify whether the issue originated with a supplier or in-house. Boeing plans to increase output to 47 jets per month later this year and open a fourth 737 assembly line at its Everett, Washington plant this summer. The company aims to reach 63 jets per month in the coming years, supporting its goal of delivering about 500 737 jets in 2026. All in service 737 MAX airplanes are deemed safe to operate, and Boeing said the wiring issue is not expected to affect overall delivery targets. In February, the company delivered 51 jets, which is more than they're anticipated, including 43 737 MAX. All right, so yeah, I don't see anything there that would be causing this melt off. Let's go see what we got here. It's in a long-term range, massive range long-term. It's a failed breakout here at 241. Okay, Q1 or Q4's low is all the way down there. I don't know that I would even want to see it get down there, to be honest with you. If I was looking for like a long-term hold here on Boeing, because I assumed it was going to break out above this range of 279, I would want to see demand hold here. I don't know that it will, and I don't like monthly demand levels. Obviously, I would... Yeah, I mean, this is a downside continuation breakdown. I think I would rather watch wherever this week's low ends up being in the future weeks. I think I would base my decision around that and not so much like a monthly supply zone. They had earnings a while back, so yeah, I'm not sure what's going on with it. Let's look at other defense contractors and see what's going on with them. LMT's up just slightly today. Oh, obviously, this thing has been absolutely flying. General Dynamics also looks good, building in a wedge. I wouldn't be a buyer up here though. RTX is just always moving up. So Boeing is the one taking a hit. LMT, GD, RTX, NOC, all of these look good. LHX fine. KTOS, that one looks a little rougher. It's still okay. ATRO's coming off a bit. And then let's just simply look at Shield, which is an ETF that has all of the defense tech in it. It looks fine. It looks absolutely fine. So I'm not sure what's happening with Boeing. Maybe it's just a pullback. Range highs has it pulling back a little. I don't have any like massive levels here that I would be interested in buying. Range lows, quarter lows. I would actually want to see it hold here. This looks like a nasty rejection though, because you were doing so good at the beginning of the year and then boom, gave it all back, and you gave it all back recently. Okay, so it looks like you're getting ready to close the first week under the 50, but tomorrow's a whole new day. Things can change around tomorrow. This is not in a strong trend. Therefore, you can see clearly just with the data on the chart going back to 2025. Weekly retests of the 50 have not been a productive trade. So I can't say that that's something I might be interested in doing either. You do have a lot of support here, to be fair. Yeah, so if you got the monthly demand level there, you've also got the weekly 200, weekly 100. So you have correlation for 202. I wouldn't buy the 202 first day test. But if it could like show me a few days of the inability to trend under that, I could potentially get long in that scenario. But I would be very cautious about it. Very cautious. All right. It seems like it should be doing much better than it is. So it could be looked at as just a pullback buying op, since there wasn't any massive negative news. I would like to see if something happened with the China deal. Let's ask Grok. Let's just see if he knows what I'm talking about here. Yeah, something significant is happening or is reportedly very close to happening with Boeing and China regarding a major aircraft deal. Recent reports, primarily from Bloomberg, Reuters, and others in the last week as of March 2026, indicate that Boeing is nearing a massive order agreement with Chinese buyers for up to about 500 Boeing 737 MAX narrow-body jets, potentially plus discussions for around 100 wide-body aircraft like the 787 Dreamliners or the 777X models. This would be one of Boeing's largest commercial deals ever and its first major order from China in nearly a decade. Key details. The deal is expected to be announced or finalized during President Donald Trump's upcoming state visit to China, reportedly scheduled for late March or early April. So maybe wait until then. And then, so they're selling the rumor, right? That's what it seems like. So maybe they buy the news. If they're selling the rumor, maybe they buy the news. You're getting a perfect weekly 200 EMA retest here in a day or two. With this much momentum, I would definitely look for it, right? I wouldn't buy it right here today. I would wait for that pull or that push into 202. You might not get there because of this little itty bitty freaking candle right there, but you might. And then maybe pull the trigger later on into the almost near the end of the month. Today's the 12th, so you got time. But if it is a sell the rumor move, then we could potentially look to buy the news. All right, going back over to Grok, let's finish this up with, if you're tracking Boeing stock or aviation trade news, this is a big potential catalyst. No major negative something happened like a cancellation or new halt in the very recent days. It's more about positive momentum toward a landmark agreement. So there you go. They're selling the rumor, potentially to buy the news. Boeing could be a big play here in the next coming couple months. So I would definitely keep it on watch. And then Bower Bull says, nice up dot, a 100 now small short. Dot, are you talking about polka dot? Yeah, I would leave this alone myself. This thing has been absolutely murked. I don't know if this is what you're talking about, though. Maybe I've read that wrong. All right, so NVIDIA is bouncing extremely hard now, giving back almost all of this down move. That means S&P is probably going to be bouncing soon as well. I would assume this is because the dollar is reversing last week's high. It looks like you may have a day low in on the S&P 500, at least until tomorrow's news. I'm still going to hold the short on NVIDIA. I'm more than okay. I'm short up here so that I'm in no threat. This is not threatening my entry at all, but I do not like that you've given all that back. And if the dollar does reverse, this short might not work out. So if you took the short on silver with me this morning, you should probably seriously think about taking profits down here instead of waiting for a new day high to do it. This wick is the low of day. So if we fib that, you can see right where it's bouncing. 786. Generally might be okay still to hold it. But I would definitely keep an eye on these highs. If this thing starts making higher highs and higher closes, I would rather get out on the lows. We know February's open is objective support. And I'm not sure what this is. I believe it's the 21-day EMA. It is. So yeah, if it looks like you're going to close today above this EMA, I would really seriously think about it if I want to hold it or not overnight. I'm in from up at Daily Res yesterday, so up in here is where my short is. I'm not really sweating it too much, but anybody that got short today this morning, right here, it's still good as long as you're under the midpoint. Just keep it on watch, because the dollar may find support and may break out. I just don't think it will, not with the massive data dump that we have tomorrow. The data dump is going to be big. There's a lot of stuff coming out. PCE, durable goods, GDP, personal income, jolts. And then Michigan consumer sentiment can and has in the past moved the market. If you get a massive discrepancy, like 46 or 59 or 60, then obviously you could see the markets have some wild swings tomorrow. But yeah, we're gonna wrap it up. Are you not worried about silver reversing here? Yes, I am. I'm not. Okay, so let me show you my actual positioning with real money so you understand that I am trader. Because a lot of people don't want to show positioning or whatever, but we do. Here is the XAG position with actual money. I have not taken any profits off on this trade yet. I should have yesterday. I did not. But as you can see here, my entry's way up here. My entry was off of this swing high. That's why my entry is there. I wanted to see a rejection of 4-hour resistance up here, and it did. So when it rejected resistance and fell back down to this prior swing high, I fired the sell-off and went to bed. Fully intended to wake up with silver up here, but woke up with silver down here, so it worked out. But if I took the short here at this swing high, I would be a little bit concerned. Yeah. I would love to see this candle close, and it's going to in 3 minutes, under the midpoint. It's the next candle I would be worried about. A slow grind all the way back up could happen. It could happen. There's a lot of support down here. Massive support. I was hoping we would get a breakdown and a close below, but it didn't do that. And the dollar is right into all that resistance. And that's what's causing this to fail. I think if we get a big breakout on the dollar like tomorrow or next week, silver probably will roll over and test some of those lower lows. But if the dollar refuses to break out and then heads back lower, I'm bullish. I think gold and silver go up. But obviously, so my longer term bias on silver is last week we had a negative candle, right? It was a bearish engulfing. Well, not quite an engulfing on this chart. It was an engulfing on the other chart, I think. Or maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was just gold that put in a bearish engulfing. Still a very good rejection candle. So if I'm looking for a 3-bar pattern or a 3-bar continuation pattern, as long as we're trading under this week's low, I like it lower. Right? Because this was your move higher. This was what we call a trap, like a bullish trap. It was a breakout, nice strong close, and then the very next week it dumped. So this week, if we're expecting trend continuation like this, then it might not be this week that happens. It might be next week. So this trade might be early. It might be early. You might have a better setup on silver next week, and the only price you need to watch is right there. So that way next week, if this candle tomorrow closes up here, for instance, then next week I would look for that wick above and then the rejection, exactly like what's playing out on the dollar right now. You see how you get this wick up above that weekly high and rejection? And then as long as you're not closing any higher 30-minute candles higher than this candle, you do this on silver next week, that would be the short potentially. But herein lies the rub. If the dollar refuses to break out, then silver might not be a short. The technicals I like them slightly. You crossed back to the downside here, many crosses with these two moving averages. Because it's so choppy, it looks like it should be heading lower, but because if it doesn't, then you definitely need to be worried, because it could very easily move back to the upside. Yeah. Be careful if you're short silver today. If you're short silver yesterday, up here, you get a little bit more room. You got a little bit more room, that's all. You can give it more time, so to speak. But yeah, be careful. Make sure you guys know what your risk is. Make sure you know what you stand to lose if you're wrong. Always use stops and all that good stuff. With that, we're going to wrap it up. Thank you guys so much for your time. If you're new, subscribe maybe. Think about it. At least it's free. It costs you nothing if you are struggling even a little bit in your trading, or if you just want to hone your edge and get a little bit better. I'm a pretty decent follow if I do say so myself. Thank you all so much. Make sure you guys trade safe. Make sure you trade smart. And as always, happy trading, everybody.